Hey, everybody, and welcome to Better at Beach. My name is Mark Burrick, and we have one of our favorite players and coaches here with us on the podcast, live streaming and recorded, DJ Klasnic. Now, he claims that he's not the oldest ever AVP Rookie of the Year. There is some debate. We need to actually go back into the books and check out if Ricardo Santos was indeed the oldest Rookie of the Year. But he is the 2023 Rookie of the Year. And we're excited to have him. He's a volleyball junkie. Spent a lot of time with him. He's a good buddy. And we just want to welcome him to the show. So, DJ, what's up, brother?
What's up, Mark? Thanks for having me, and thanks for a nice introduction. You just made me feel old.
You are, man. It's becoming a young man's game, but you got the young energy. So your desire to still be out hour after hour doing 3-person evening rep sessions. It's inspiring. Reminds me when I was chasing it and going after it, and it's important. I don't think people really understand what it could and should take to get to the top of the sport.
Yeah, I feel that when you say it's a young people sport, I think the people who are good now, which is Swedish guys and Norwegian when they show up, it's
When they show
they
up.
they are young, but the thing is like they put in so many hours really early. And I was not like the reason why I have to put in the work now is I had no qualified coaches or pro beach players in Serbia to learn from. So, uh, and another thing is we didn't have indoor facilities, so I only play beach volleyball during summer.
Mm,
So my time is limited. So in my let's say like 10 when I was 10 till 20 years old, I didn't really get the max that I could from the practices. So I feel I'm still learning, and I feel we're always going to keep learning, but I feel there's plenty of things I can learn and improve right now, where when I watch them I see like, oh, they're already doing it, like there's things that I'm trying to fix that they're already doing, even
mm,
though they're younger, because they were taught the right way and spent hours and hours. Like Swedish guys started when they were kids. When I started
yeah.
playing indoor, so maybe instead of playing indoor, if I was those first 10 years playing beach, maybe I would be on a higher level right now, or at least higher, like a technical, strategic playing level.
Let's play a game. Uh, would you rather? Okay. So, would you rather have the unlimited access to the coach of your choice right now, having the same life that you've lived, or would you rather have had 3 years with that coach when you were 15 to 18?
That is a good question. I think I would rather have someone when I was 15. I did go through a lot, and I feel I learned a lot on my way. But the reason why I like helping people, on the beach, my girlfriend coaching her, and people around, and the reason why I like posting tutorials is because I had to learn it a really like hard way. Like it took for so long that I wanted to make it shorter for other people.
Mm,
And now I'm 28, 29, and for example, my federation consider me old, and don't really want to help out in my career internationally, because if they would help out, because they don't help anyone right now, it would be someone who is younger. And I just wish that if I could at least be on the level where I am right now, like eight years ago, that would be nice.
mm.
It just took a really long time getting all the informations, learning from partners like yourself and Ricardo and Piotr and whoever I play with. I was really learning a lot, and like I would not change anything right now. But if I could ever get an extra coach at the young age, I think it would help a lot.
Yeah. I think, and then like you talk about compound interest. You're able to see and accumulate way more knowledge wealth when you have a great start. So, like, somebody who starts with $1 million is going to be so much richer in 10 years than somebody who starts with 500,000 or 100,000 or $1,000. So
For
if you
sure.
get those, if you're the athlete who actually absorbs what coaches are giving you at a young age, and that coach is getting you to a high level early, then I think you can see a lot of different paths way easier than if you get that late, because you might get stuck in your ways. Hopefully you don't. Hopefully you go in with an open mind. But if you sit into the same process for, I don't know, 10 years, it's not impossible, but I think it's tougher to make fast adjustments.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also think like especially in US, not having a coach, you end up playing a lot, which is not necessarily bad. It's you still get the reps and you get better in playing, but just learning something new, or even what's even harder in my opinion is correcting your technique, modifying, maybe changing your arm swing or the approach
Mm.
or the way you serve. That takes time and it takes reps. And if you don't have a coach who's going to see that from the side, and if you don't have set practice where you can practice that instead of everybody wants to just play all the time, now you're really slowly changing those things, where instead
Hmm.
of having a coach, let's say, and you jump on that for like a month or two, and boom, now off season, you use the off season to change that, you're already like one step ahead. So I feel not having a coach is also a tough situation. Myself, I coach myself a lot, which helps, but a lot of people are not like committed enough, I feel, to record yourself all the time, watch yourself, try to figure out, then compare yourself to someone else and stuff like that. But I think because of the life that I lived and the career that I had, where it was mostly myself alone, with my partner or changing partners, or me alone in US changing partners, I had to learn how to coach myself. Otherwise, I would just be stuck where I was.
Mm.
But I feel it's a really good skill to have. Is um, It's not even a skill. I feel it's good to push yourself to try to coach yourself. And just I talk to my roommate a lot, Tyler. Like, do you do everything you can in order to be the best player you can? Like, did you watch your practice from today? Did you try to watch someone who plays similar like you, so you can learn from them? Like, if you did, and okay, now you practiced today, you went to gym, you watch your tape, now you can do whatever you want. You can play video games, you can do whatever. There needs to be a time when you're not doing volleyball. But the question is, like, are you doing everything for volleyball? Because a lot of people are just like, oh, I practice every day. Yeah, but also all the other teams on tour practice every single day. So that's not going to help you win. Like,
Yeah,
everybody practice. So what are
that's
you
the
doing?
minimum.
Yeah, yeah,
We tell like high
exactly.
school and college kids, like, well, I'm not starting. I'm doing everything the coach asks. Everything the coach asks and being on the team and showing up to practice is the minimum requirement just to get a jersey, not to
For
get on the
sure,
court.
for
Like,
sure.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
So that was my point. Is like, if you wanna, like, that's my motivation. If I wanna, with my, like, right now 28 years old, and I'm still kind of future challenger level, fighting to get up there. Circumstances, right? Not a lot of partners in Serbia. No, can't really practice with any of my partners because they live in Serbia, and but it's not excuses. I'm just thinking, like, I'm there, and if I ever want to get to elite, I have to do way more than Molin Sorum and Swedish guys and everybody else out there.
Yeah.
Because they have coaches, they have system, they practice every day, they have good competitive games, they play high level tournaments. How do you expect to catch up if you're not doing insane amount of work?
Hmm.
Or I can just say, like, you know what, they were really lucky because they were born in a country with a federation and this and that, and like, it's okay that they're better than me. Well, for me, that's kind of my motivation. It's okay. Let me try to put in everything I can and see if I can catch up. Because if I can, that's sick.
Yeah, that is sick. I mean, that's the same way I started. I played one season in high school, my junior year, and then when I started playing in college, I really got into it like the end of freshman year, beginning of sophomore year, and I then wanted to go and play D1. I want to play for a university, and I said to everyone who's in university played juniors, like they played on a club juniors team where they got coached consistently. And I was just like, you just start doing basic math. Okay, a club, you get to practice 2 times a week, maybe 3 times, for 2 hours each time. And usually it's like 6 months a year. So let's just call it like 20 times 9, right? These guys got 180 hours. How do I get 180 hours of volleyball to get even with them? And then how do I get 180 more to surpass them? Because now I have to like catch up for multiple years.
Yeah.
And a big part of that for me was always film, just like you. I was a gym junkie, probably like too much time in the gym, and maybe I could have used more technique analysis. But the coaching was one of the hardest things to find, because you would have to find somebody to spend extra time with you and pay for it.
For sure.
And so now you need that bonus to hit that other level. And we see it at all levels. Like you see, all of the greats have a multi-person staff just for them. It's like their specific trainer, their specific dietitian, because they take all that stuff out. And if you have somebody cooking for you, and this is starting to get crazy, because I mean, what AVP's got like a personal chef, but if you have somebody cooking for you, that's another hour and 15 minutes that you could be watching film or just chilling. In other words, getting off your feet, resting your legs, and getting to that level. So it's basic math for anybody who's trying to get better. And if you're just sitting there wondering why you're not getting better than anyone around you, but you literally show up the same amount of time that anyone next to you shows up, no kidding. Like there's some secret sauce, but there's no secret sauce.
For sure. No, I've been kind of upscaling my system and everything, and every year I try to add something. And like for a couple of years I didn't have a coach, but I have a friend who is a physio who is helping me, Panos, and then I have. Stretch zone in Herbosa where I go to get again some treatments. And then I have a strength conditioning coach from Serbia who I've been working for 10 years. And then I have my personal chef, Marine Kina, my girlfriend. That, as you say, saves a lot of time. And this year I also added a coach where I go with Abby currently a couple times a week. And then I coach myself a couple times a week, where I still have a hard time just doing stuff what coach wants, because in my head I already have something that I want to do. So I kind of try to find a balance of like, okay, coach, I need help with this, but I also want to fix this and I need reps, where sometimes I think I get more reps if it's just, let's say, me and my roommate or 3 of us, where I can kind of like just run through the reps rather than consistent feedback. And then when I'm with a coach, I kind of really enjoy feedback and stuff like that. It is a little challenging now since like I don't have a partner in here. So, some practices I'm alone, some practices I'm with a partner. But, once I would be set with, and committed to one person, I think it's a little easier to go with a coach, because then you can work on your kind of game style.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. So it's a lot of factors, but I'm really happy with this off season. I spent a lot of time trying to work on my defense and optioning, and I feel I added another thing that I added to my system is a Brazilian conditioning coach who I've been working twice a week, my conditioning. So nice. Hopefully you're going to see me running for some shots this year.
You chase shots?
So yeah, well. We'll see, but I'm excited. It's been a really long off season. I mean, I'm a workaholic. I can practice volleyball every single day, but last tournament was, I think, half a year ago, and I'm really excited. I'm flying to Tahiti in 2 weeks. So
where's the invite?
I'm excited to play that world tour. I'm playing with Nemo Komar, if you know from
Oh yeah.
he used
Okay.
he used to live in Hawaii and now he's in Denver. So I'm excited. Just the season is starting. AVP is going to start in a couple months, and world tour. I'm going to probably go home to play a couple events in Europe and then back to play AVP. So plenty of volleyball, and hopefully like everything that I spend time in the off season can pay off.
What are you adding to your game right now? So you said that like you're practicing, you're working on changing things. What are you changing at 28 years old? Who you've one of the best players in Serbia, probably maybe the best beach player in Serbia, and
The
worked your
only
way
the
up to
only
like
player.
the only reason you're not getting consistent top 10 finishes on the AVP is probably because people can't travel internationally with you. Like I don't know who wouldn't want you behind them as a defender. So that's one thing that's I guess hurting your stock, the fact that it's tough to play internationally, and so then somebody has to choose to basically have half a partner for the season. But aside from all that, what are you actually adding to your game or changing about it right now? And how did you
Yeah,
get to that point?
yeah, that's a good question. Thanks for asking. As I said, I am a kind of a little workaholic, and I always try to change something. There's a couple of things. One big thing that I was trying to change for this year was not going forward or crossing my arms on the approach on the second step. Because I feel if you watch jump setters, it's mostly just arms back and then they're ready to set,
Mm.
which I feel like makes you way faster on approach and allows you to option. Then second thing was optioning because I was always optioning my whole life. I would hit the ball that goes close to the net, but I never practiced. So I came to just realization I hit at least 1 to 2 ball per set on as an option, and I don't practice it. So I try to kind of like get a little more consistent with approach and knowing what ball to hit, what ball not to hit. I practice at the beginning of season a little more jump setting, just if there's occasion, so I can use that. And then probably the biggest thing was changing my arm swing. I think from bow and arrow, that was before where the left arm was up and right elbow was down. I tried to go a little more like snap, which Miles Partain does, and he sent out the link, the arm swing research that they
Hmm.
did, and that most of the indoor players are transferring to that just because it's a little faster. So if you watch Miles Partain, his arms usually end up like kind of parallel loads, and then he sets or hits. But
Hmm.
this arm doesn't really go super high. So I've been kind of focusing to change my arm swing a little bit. And then I added kind of serve practice where my serve usually goes too high over the net.
Uh,
So I
don't
try to
all of them?
go I try to go as close as possible, and if I can trickle, I would be the happiest. So I kind of I'm that guy that like tries to serve trickler.
Oh hell
So
yeah,
they ask you like, do you practice serving tricklers? I'm like, currently yes. Like
yeah.
I actually want to serve a trickler. Because
Right.
if
I
I
mean,
if I can serve a trickler, that means the ball is going to go as close as possible to the net, which means it's going to come as fast as possible to the other side, and it might actually surprise the other team. Where usually my serves are kind of a little loopy, especially if I'm serving skyboat, then they're really loopy.
even if you're 50-50 with that, like teams at the AVP level, their side out for first ball side out is between 7 and 8 out of 10.
For sure, for
So
sure.
if you serve in, right, and it doesn't hit the net, they're at 75%, let's just say. If you get good enough at serving flat where you miss half of them and the other half hit the tape and go over the net for an ace, you're
Yeah,
statistically so much better.
yeah, pretty much, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have to like kind of find a consistency, but yeah, there were that was a couple of things, and then of course I was working on my defense, trying to go from flat foot to stand more on the kind of on the toes, being able to grab the sand. Kind of, I think you were talking to Marine about that, and then Marine and I have been trying to figure out my body posture and leaning a little more forward.
Mm,
Still work in progress, but instead of staying upright, being more forward, more on the
yeah.
toes, and then kind of adding those Brazilian drills where I'm kind of like hovering and moving left and right, change of direction. So yeah, I spent this off season like really working on different things, trying to like, let's say what I have, upgrade that. just go to higher level on all the elements that I have, working specifically on the things that I feel are hurting my game. So I didn't really work a lot on my passing just because I consider myself a good passer. Still, obviously, I mess up some passes, but I feel I lose most of the matches because of, not hitting high enough or quick enough, because of, not digging enough. So I was kind of focusing on things that I feel can improve my results, because, it's time is limited. You're always going to feel there's not enough time. You cannot work on everything, so you have to really pick and choose. So I always try to like analyze and choose the things that are primary, like problem, like the main problem. Let's fix that, and then maybe later on, which is pretty much now, like 2 weeks before the season, I start working on passing again, just to get into that rhythm of like pass set hit, pass set hit.
Sure.
But in the off season was mostly either free ball or a really easy serve, just so we can practice the progression, the approach, but not really like focusing on the pass.
Yeah. And you're getting those reps all the time anyway. It's not like your body, like you're dialing into that touch every time you pass. And I think some of I forget who we were talking to, but they're like, the Brazilian style of coaching in terms of technique is more, we will fix it if it breaks your game, but if it's currently operating or functioning, we're not going to talk about technique. We're just going to rep it out until you feel it, feel it, feel it. And even if your hands are, facing backwards or they look like a shark when you pass, like they're not going to fix it unless they see that it's costing you points. And I think it's pretty interesting because then it gives you like a way to attack the biggest problem instead of saying, I need his technique to be thumbs together when he's passing. Well, all of his passing is perfect. He's bleeding points because he just keeps hitting low. So that's the one technique that maybe we'll focus on, and just getting somebody to hit as high as they can over and over and over without talking about their hands for passing, because whatever, doesn't cause an issue. And I think it takes a really mature coach to actually choose to do that.
Yeah.
To overlook something that he thinks is weird technically, but is it costing you the most points? And then it also takes, I think, a ton of patience in working with a player, because you have to be able to sit through 3, 4, 5 practices, watch a few matches, and then decide if this is the thing you want to fix. It's so weird for players or coaches to come into one practice and try to fix 3, 4, 5 things from a player. It's like, slow down. You don't know anything about this player right now, right? You don't know if that technique is costing them any points. And then now you're trying to change something that really is not going to give you bang for the buck. So I think coaches got to calm down and observe more. And, you and me are probably not great examples of this, but talk a little less to make sure that we're seeing what really needs to be done. I think for you and me, every now and then when you see A players or you see a AA or a B player, it might be easy to just pick out, oh, of course this is costing points immediately because you see the shanks happening, right? But when you're talking about open players, people who have played in college or gotten through college, pro players, you really got to calm that down for a few practices before you actually open your mouth and make a decision.
That is true.
Yeah,
I'm definitely not a good example of that. I'm perfectionist, so for me it's like, if I see it's broken, I'm like, I don't think that is going to give you a long-term result.
Yeah.
If you watch top 20 teams right now, there's almost no broken technique. Like, if we talk top level, there's no room for that, because if there is, they're gonna abuse it. Like, if you have,
I'm gonna disagree.
That drops a little bit.
There's so many weird arm swings. There's so many weird, and then when you get to the top, like the freaks, why does Feldhauser still have a goofy foot approach and some Oilovs? They chose not to fix it. Casey Patterson basically held his wrist with one hand when he was passing and left the other one open. So there are these little things that people harp on that didn't cost those players. And again,
Sure.
if Phil's siding out 9 out of 10 balls and he's got a goofy foot approach, smart coach just shuts up and says, we're not going to change this. It's not causing you an issue, dude.
I think
go ahead.
my opinion is you have to feel the player, what's their personality. You don't want to push a player that doesn't want to change something, because then they just get frustrated. They're going to get frustrated and it's not going to work. For myself, for example, if I would have a goofy approach, I would change it. Like, no matter if it works or not, thinking about biomechanics, how left leg in front allows you to open up your shoulders and so on and so on. My thought would be, I want to try everything that I can in order to be the best as I can. And maybe goofy approach for Phil, it can work because he's so tall. But what if Phil spent one off season trying to change that and maybe got even better? Maybe not. Again, we never know. But what if he did? What if he could option more balls? What if, maybe he could go to another Olympics and win it, so
he could if he wanted to.
Yeah, I feel there's a room for improvement always, and it really depends on the person how willing they are to work on it. And I do agree, if you're happy with what you have, like if you're holding your platform like different and you're still passing good, that's okay. It's on you. It's on you if you want to keep that. Like Lev Prima is a good example. Like he every time like separates his arms on the pass, but he's a great passer. And for him, he likes it. It's passing good. Okay, keep it. But if we work, I would eventually.
It's a really hard-headed example. Asking Lev Prima to change anything is.
That is true. But for me, like changing stuff, I like changing stuff. I think anything that I can fix 1 or 5% more, I feel can give me that extra, catch up to these top guys. That's at least how I see it.
So you said you're working on being able to chase more balls on defense, and then also choosing what option balls to hit and where to hit and which ones you can't. So for those people who are listening and might want to be working on the same thing, what drills or specific exercises are you doing? First, let's cover defense. We'll cover option later. But what specific drills are you actually doing to help yourself be able to move better?
Yeah, so for that defense practice, it's mostly that we call it conditioning with that Brazilian guy, Robertinho. So he usually sends me the practice, but first part is linear sprints. So it would be, let's say, today I just did it. So it would be, let's say, open and close your feet. So quick, like open and close, and on the sign, sprint 8 meters. That would be one exercise. Then another one would be, what was it? Like a shuffle to the right and then sprint. Like one shuffle and then sprint 8 meters. Shuffle to the other side, sprint 8 meters. And then we would have, after that, linear progression, which every practice it's a little different sprints, but it's linear, which means straight. And then second part would be like change of direction, which would be, let's say, cones in a square, and the partner is showing you to what cone you need to go, and you're running, touching the cone. And then at any moment they can toss you a ball that you have to dig. So
I love that.
So it's kind of like change of direction plus reaction. So you always have to look, kind of looking on the other court, which forces you to change the direction. And then once you see the ball, bail on whatever you're doing and start like running.
That should be everybody's drill. If you could have 2 or 3 people constantly throwing balls at you while you do agility, and maybe I'm speaking from like my pain, because I so worried about the timing of my move, how this person was looking at me, the position that I was getting to. And sometimes I would miss very simple digs because I wasn't digging at all times at the same time that I was moving. It's like either I was moving and shifting or digging. And to marry those two so that you're constantly digging, no matter how you're shifting or moving, and you're constantly reading, that should be everything for defenders. I love that drill. Shifting and having people just throw balls at you so that you're constantly aware. It's like there's that movie where there's somebody, I think it's Pink Panther, his assistant always like tries to attack him to keep him in a constant state of readiness.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I don't know what else. Like, one of my favorite, which is really simple: put the cones in the straight line and just do zigzag in between, and your partner can toss at any moment. So
Mm,
kind of just moving zigzag, and then you have to run and get it. And usually we would do like two balls, so you would need to run and dig, and then get up and run to other side and dig, just so we have that change of direction.
yeah.
And to get more tired, which would kind of like represent, like you dig and now you have to hit. And then the last part would be volleyball related exercise, which would be pretty similar. So let's say a serve, a square, what we just talked about. So a square, dig one ball, and then a partner would toss you and you need to jump and hit. Or for example, a serve, jump over the rope, go under the rope, dig the ball, and then hit it. So something that is kind of like volleyball related, but still focused on you digging first and then hitting.
Okay.
But hitting would be kind of just because that's why it's called conditioning. Hitting would be there to work on a heart rate, so you can like recover a little faster and do another round,
Yeah.
which would be, let's say, that timing between points that you would go to your service line or whatever, and now you need to play another point.
So it sounds like you're not using live drills or like a player hitting a shot and then having you chase. You're not doing that as much to get better at that situation.
Yeah.
It's more
So
preparing your body.
Yeah, so this part is like the conditioning part is mostly like, I mean, you're still chasing balls that your partner tossed. You don't really know where it's gonna go,
Yeah.
but it's mostly kind of fixing technique again, kind of how your body's gonna position. How do you shuffle? What angle do you take? Like how are you using your feet when you're running to dig the shot? The touch, what touch you're using to dig that ball. So once that ball actually comes in the game, after so many reps that I did in the off season, once I actually have a chance for dig, usually it's a better dig than it was before. But yeah, I do agree. There's no reading part in this. So reading, I try to focus on when I play. So when I
Mm.
was doing a partner exercises or like a team exercise against the other team with Evie, we were actually working on that mostly. Was the positioning in the court, the moves. So what moves am I making to confuse the attacker, and then seeing what the attacker is doing. So I was trying to like work on conditioning alone by myself, and then reading with Evie. That was kind of the goal.
Okay. Has Evie changed any of your on court positioning or given you new ideas compared to where you thought you should be standing, where you're comfortable standing, and where he wants you to? Or have you just like at least discussed possibilities?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we talk about where am I currently standing and where I should be. Like sometimes I just go too wide, or I would make a late step to the angle, which would be early so they see me, but late so I can't really move. Um,
Oh.
which kind of
So you're
could
like in
be,
the middle and then you shift into the angle away
yeah,
from the
but
high line and
yeah,
then you
but I would shift too late,
okay.
but too late for me to run the high line, but too early so they would still see me. So let's say if I would want to shift, I would need to shift even later. So at least I don't give them the information where I'm going to be.
Mm.
Um, like Hayden used to run that a lot. Like I watched his tape recently. He used to run middle to middle and just bail in the last second. But if you make it late enough, it's just hard to know where. It's like 50-50.
Yeah.
And again, talking about highest level, I swear that for me, 50-50 is higher chance than me being on angle. When I'm on the angle, I dig maybe 20%, where 50-50 is talking math, way better
Yeah.
chance for us to get a dig than 20%. Just people right now are, hitting too high, like shooting really accurate.
Hmm.
They challenge the blockers, so they play with the timing. They like we practice with Taylor's a lot. Taylor Crab would just go late and then go quick and then go away from the body. So even trying to read him, you don't really get much because he
Right.
would just fake you out and he would see you. Then so sometimes he would see you, so he would make a normal shot, and then sometimes he would trick you, so you fall for it. So it's like you can't really believe in what you see because it's
Mm.
not always the same. There's no really exact pattern. So it was really good, like off season for me to understand how to position and what to do in a certain situations. I mean, I'm still obviously learning, and I feel we're gonna keep learning until end of our career. You can just keep getting better in reading.
Right.
But I was one of the things that I was kind of trying to focus on, and I still don't do it. But when I really focus, I can kind of see it is if I see, let's say, the ball and then the hand coming around it, knowing that it's coming that way, and then seeing the arm here. But it is, even though you try to see it, it's so hard because it's such a like
Right.
short moment. And it doesn't happen always. Like sometimes, a lot of times, people just go straight. So for
Hmm.
me, it's like I need to learn that once somebody gives early information, now I need to go. So pretty much bail what exactly the same drill what we just talked about, the square, right? In
Yeah.
square you're running, and then once you see the ball, bail whatever you're doing and run. That's
Hmm.
kind of what I want to translate this to. Whatever I'm doing, if I see the hand here, bail on whatever you're doing and run, kind of almost cheat because you read it, you know it's coming there. Run and go to that high line, for example, a little earlier. Instead of what most of the players do, is we see it, but we're like, okay, I see it, but I still have to protect my spot first, and then
Yeah.
you're late. Instead of like, okay, I saw it, I'm going for it. Now, if they do something like this, okay, I mean,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least,
You're obsessed with the position that you have to get to instead of
yeah,
being obsessed with the dig and then making the positioning secondary. Like
yeah,
it should be dig and read first. Plan for your position and play is secondary. But that's hard to do because you know that you have to get somewhere, and so that takes the first place in your mind instead of just knowing that you have to constantly read. And
for
speaking of
sure.
like those readers, the guys who are always hands ready, I mean that's height into a T, right? Like the amount of balls that he digs with his hands because he was always on the move and he just always just had them ready and in front of him. And when you watch him play defense, his hands are constantly present, like right in front of his pecs, and they're just. I love watching him play defense because
But
it's not
again,
that traditional like hands out, palms up defense. It's always like he's fiddling with something.
I'm gonna use the opposite example, like because I've been trying to figure out how is Taylor Krabs so good in defense.
Mm,
He stands with his arms like this, like just down. There's no positioning, there's no anything. It's arms are next to the body, they're ready, and then he's just reacting next to him, in front of
mm,
him. So sometimes I even feel when I put my arms in front, they almost want to connect, and then my reaction on the side is not good where he's just keeping his arms on the side. I think there's no right way. There's
right.
different ways that you should try and see. Or what I'm trying to maybe understand now is there's different ways to stand according to your positioning. So when you're shallower, maybe like kind of bringing your arms up, but when you're deeper,
Yeah.
maybe keeping them a little lower. When you're, let's say, bailing on the line on an angle block, maybe already turning your arms on the side rather than just staying neutral.
Yeah.
I feel there's defense is so complex. Like the more I'm trying to learn, the more I'm understanding. Like I'm bad in this. And then my girlfriend Marine, she's always saying, "You're a great defender. Like you're just hard on yourself." And I say, I do agree that I can dig. Like I would not be here if I don't know how to dig. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
obviously, I don't think about myself that I'm bad, but I think about myself that I'm bad because I see how many improvements I could make and how many digs I could make more if I could fix technique. So we're not even talking about other team is doing great. Okay, but I'm saying this ball, if I approach this technically the right way, I would dig it. If
Mm.
my arms were ready, if my body was turned, if I slide 1 second earlier or later. And that was the main focus on the off season is learning these things. And I feel we covered the 10% of it.
Right.
I
It's
need like 10 more off seasons.
it's like jujitsu. There's your base positions, and then there's a million and one different configurations, hand positions, leg positions that you can be in just based on somebody's movement and what you're feeling from them. And the ultimate solution, as always, is you just got to be adaptable. Like, can you figure out how to adapt quickly and then get those answers instead of being so stuck in a rut? So there needs to be that balance of experimentation, but then at the same time not constantly changing everything that's already working. Like what 90 or 80% is already working, and what's the little thing that I need to change? Not I want to get more digs, I'm going to completely rebuild my defense. It's like, wait a second. This you need one more dig per set, and then we're at championship level. So how do we get one more dig per set, because you're almost there?
For sure. And I think like I get really into technique that I would like. For example, I would think same with you what you mentioned that you used to do. I would think about the move that I'm doing and the timing, and I don't even know what else I would think. That when they would hit the ball, I would figure out like I didn't really try to see their hand, for example.
Right.
Because I was so, and then I would try to see a hand, but I would not make a move, and or like I would be stiff because everything I'm doing, I'm thinking about it, and then I would
It's
just
why
watch.
it's why you get the most digs when you're hungover. The day where you're exhausted, like after leg day, and you're showing there and you're just like, you've got a stomach flu, whatever, you're trying to be as lazy as possible. All of a sudden you start getting all of these digs because you're going, what is the least that I can do right now? And you don't want to run all those threes and fours, when you're not feeling too hot.
But a good person that I watch is Hagen. He's completely different from other people on on the defense. Like he's just standing wide arms and just doing this, just swinging like how his dad used to play defense.
Yeah.
And it's impressive. Like I know that when I play against Hagen, I cannot hit to him or anywhere on his arm length because he's just so good in just waving on the side, just waving sideways. And that's one of the things, for example, that I don't do is like, I'm here, I'm ready. If you hit to me, I'm going to dig you. But everything that is wide is like, oh, it's far, And I feel the way he just stands and covers the court, like horizontally is really good. And he would be like another person that I watch and try to figure out like, how did he cover that wide range of the court with his arms,
I mean, he's fast.
He is really fast.
He is fast, and a lot of the stuff, like when we played last year, the Manhattan Beach, when he started really kind of turning on his defense, was we had to like corral all of that. We had to bring his athleticism back in because he's so fast that he uses it very often, right? And he does a lot of these jukes and balances and bounces out. And he's one of the players that we had to go in the other direction. We're like, okay, let's calm down the athleticism so that you can actually use the athleticism, And sometimes if he got himself off balance, he was too late to be in a position where it's like, yo, you got so much speed. Maybe you don't use it when you're shifting, when you're redirecting. Like go to your spot a little bit earlier and then say, can I be balanced enough because I'm so fast? Let me be balanced enough to go chase it. And so against certain teams, that really worked for him. And against a couple others, we did the exact opposite. The cool thing about him was he was able to make these really quick adjustments and still get digs when we changed his positioning entirely. So he's a sick defender.
He's a great defender.
What do you think American players take for granted, coming from a federation who has legendary indoor volleyball, right? Serbia has just always turned out world MVPs. What's missing on the beach side, but what do you think the US has? And really you look at us and you're like, you guys are so spoiled. You have no idea.
Well, I mean, first things first, Serbia doesn't have a league anymore. So we are definitely like behind on that, where here, no matter how AVP is, you still have AVP. It's a reason to practice, to prepare, to get excited for the season, to spend summer enjoying doing what you love, where a lot of countries don't have that. I think AVP is, no matter in what shape AVP is, it's still the best tour in the world, probably AVP and Brazilian tour, but AVP is just I got to play it finally like a full year last year, and it's just something. It's a special place.
Yeah.
They treat volleyball players the right way, and I'm not even talking about AVP as AVP. I'm talking about fans, and you just feel special. You feel um, that you're someone in the sport. And coming from Serbia, where beach volleyball, like, we don't have facilities to practice during winter.
Hmm.
So beach volleyball is not a real sport. You can't say I play beach volleyball when you cannot play it full year.
Yeah.
So saying that I'm a beach volleyball player, people almost laugh at me in Serbia. Like, they don't know who I am. Like, nobody ever heard about me because beach volleyball is not a sport. Where
Mm.
here, I feel, since I was in Miami before, but I feel like people respect me from who I am because of what I achieved so far, on the world tour and on the AVP, and just in my career. And that's kind of like something that I feel that people in USA don't understand, that you have true fans. They make you feel as a beach volleyball player. They make you kind of feel your success. Like, you
Yeah.
feel confident. You're like, damn, I'm a good player. Where, like, coming from where I am, like, you're winning and you're still feeling like you're no one, because you're watching people on the world tour and you're just trying to be as them, but you don't get no recognition from the country where you are. So that's definitely one thing that I feel people here don't understand enough, how fans are valuable in the whole, and AVP in the whole thing, to for us to be a beach volleyball players. Like, without AVP and without a league, there's no fans. You're not a beach volleyball player. You're just trying to play on the world tour, and it's really little.
Yeah.
So I think that's big. And then, um, I think a chance to play, coming from the country where I am, where salaries are really low. We could not afford to fly to multiple international tournaments. So we would play Europe, and we would maybe have enough funds to go one tournament to Australia or to China, and that was it.
Hmm.
Where, I'm pretty sure everyone here can afford to travel and play any tournament they want. China, Australia, Thailand, doesn't matter how far is it. People
Yeah.
can go. So I feel everybody's just like, oh yeah, I'm going to world tour. Like, we've been practicing for a month. Where for us was like, we've been practicing for a year, because that's our only chance, to get points so we can play next year. So we
Yeah.
would practice every single day, twice, sometimes twice a day. Like, we would really go for it. Where here, there's only a couple of teams that actually do that. And there's a lot more teams that consider themselves like, oh, we're competing on the world tour and we're doing this and that. But for me, it's like, if you want to compete on the world tour and if you want to achieve this, like, you got to respect yourself, and you got to, like, give everything you can.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I just feel people here like, oh, I'm partying, and, I practice twice a week, and now I'm hangovered, and, like, this and that. And it doesn't feel professional enough,
Mm.
and it kind of makes me almost upset, because we never had that.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, guys, you have all these opportunities, you have money to travel, you have good weather to practice every single day, and you're like barely using your chances. Like,
Mm.
I am happy now that more and more teams are going to World Tour. Like, Jake Ritia just went, and Joyner went, and like, Logan and Hagen are going to Challenger, and like, there's multiple women's team that practice with Marine here on the 8th Street. They just went to Australia and New Zealand, and now you can see more teams kind of going for it. And for me, it's like, why wouldn't you go? Like,
Yeah.
you practice every single day, or at least 3 times a day. You call yourself a beach volleyball player. You live in California because you want to play beach volleyball. Like, a lot of teams, a lot of girls and guys that I know moved here for beach volleyball, and you're not doing it. Like, what's stopping you? Like,
Mm.
I can barely find a partner right now, and I still want to go. I want to. I want to. Like, I spend the whole off season in order to play. But you have all these partner opportunities in front of you, and what's stopping you? So for me, I feel people in US don't use enough chances,
Yeah.
and don't take it serious enough. It's more like tourism than, like, hey, we can actually
Yeah.
go and win this. you know.
I think a lot of people treat those trips as tourism. And I'll be honest, like a Norseca qualifier, if another one pops up and I get to go to, whatever it is, Jamaica, Trinidad, and I get to bring my wife and kid, and then I'll just stay there an extra few days. Like, yeah, I would. I would actually go and compete because it'd be something fun to do. USA Volleyball would pay for it. It doesn't seem right to say that I would take that spot, but if I could take that spot,
For sure.
finishing fourth or eighth for a Norseca, because USA does pay for a lot, like the Continental Tour. USA
For sure.
Volleyball pays for the majority of that. I mean, FIVB registration fees, that's covered. When I heard that the Canadian teams had to pay all of those fees themselves, I was like, oh, we've got it really good. And it is a case where I think a lot of people do take it for granted, but there is so much that we have that is impossible for other federations. Plus, financially, like monetarily, USA is doing generally better and has a higher value than a lot of countries in terms of finances. So if you're thinking that like you're from the Philippines and you're making a great salary, you're kind of making nothing for when you have to go on the world tour.
For sure. For sure.
Because you need like 5 Philippines salaries in order to afford the flight that goes from Paris to Italy.
Well, that's exactly what I said for Serbia, and just for the listeners to know, like we don't have federation. Like our federation is indoor volleyball federation, and indoor volleyball is so big that we don't have beach volleyball federation, and we don't get the support. Like there's no one team in Serbia that is helped by federation. Like no guys, no girls, no help for federation, and even it went further where they actually didn't sign us up for Olympic qualifier. So we didn't even get a chance to compete for Olympics on the Continental Cup
Oh,
because our federation didn't sign us up. So just
like you
thinking
told
about,
them to sign you up and they didn't, or they just
they sign us up every single time so far, and now when the pools came out for Continental Cup, we were not on it, and we asked like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we didn't sign you up."
oh my
So
god.
yeah, so just like understanding how your federation is not the worst federation, and there's always like you talk about Cuba, and you talk about I know multiple federations that have problem with their players. Like USA is doing really well, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like teams should use that chance to compete internationally, wear the jersey with the flag of your country, and just it's a special place. Like there's nothing in the world that I like more than wearing the jersey from my country, and competing and representing.
I've got a Serbian national team jersey. Yeah.
Nice,
Ante
nice.
Shukar. Oh no, that's not Serbian. My bad. That's Croatian. I've got a Croatian team jersey. Yeah. Yeah.
It's still yeah,
Yeah.
pretty similar
Still
thing.
a Balkan
Yeah.
a Balkan national team. Uh do you think that the Florida beach volleyball culture is better than California? Like if you think that somebody needs to move, so somebody's, let's call it in the Midwest, at Grand Sands volleyball, right? They're sitting in Cincinnati and they should move to Florida or California. Where would you tell them to move?
Well, do you know any coaches in Florida?
I know a few.
Except JM who moved now there. I don't see any coaches there. They're actually like, for me at least, or let's say for me to recommend for Marine, worth moving there. When I
Mm,
used to live on South Florida, there was no coaches who were actually like open level coaches.
okay.
There's a couple of coaches for youth. I know Dave Palm is there for youth, and
Hmm.
couple of like I think quality players who are coaching. But
Yeah.
open level, there's not really that many coaches. Where definitely California has some Brazilians, and a couple of other coaches. Evie's there. You coach sometimes, and there's definitely like people who have the knowledge, coaching knowledge and playing knowledge that I would recommend anyone if they want to live anywhere to pursue the beach volleyball thing. It's here, and I've been hovering around here. Like we were in Playa and we were in Huntington, and now we're in Hermosa, and it's not even close. Like this is completely different living in Hermosa and being able to, like practice every single day in this
Walk out the door.
environment. Yeah, it's just completely different. So I would recommend it to anyone who want to pursue the dream, that I understand now why they were always saying like, oh, you need to move there. Like since the first year when I was in Florida, they were like, oh, you need to go to Hermosa.
Like you came all the way to America, from Serbia. Why didn't you just go the extra 3,000 miles, dude?
Yeah, but found my way.
Yeah. And it's for sure. I mean, cheaper cost of living is an argument that has to be talked about. You can't afford to be in Florida much longer, whereas out here it's getting tougher and tougher, man. I mean, I don't want to move. I'm in a nice lease, and I'm not trying to move anytime soon, because if we move to a smaller place, we're going to pay way more than our current rent is. So it's not getting easier to live here, and that's what's so shocking. I don't know. I wonder if beach volleyball players here would be better, because everybody's got a backup plan. So many of these guys have a backup plan. The last guy who I knew didn't really have a backup plan was Rosenthal. Like volleyball. That was it. It's what he wanted to do. And then he started, playing some golf later on. But no backup plan, went 100% after it. Everybody else has kind of got something in the works. They're understanding an audience. They're understanding sponsors. They're coaching on the side. They're getting like little accounting jobs and stuff like that. But I think that also hurts you. I mean, I know it hurts you to have an available backup plan. It hurts your volleyball game, but it does leave you prepared in case it doesn't work out. So you got to choose one of those. I think you're one of the guys that came and you said, I don't have a backup plan. I'm going there for volleyball, and I'll do some other stuff along the way so that like when I grow up, I'm there. And now you're getting your degree in software tech.
Yeah, so
what do you do? You're a geek, right?
That is my backup plan. I finished my bachelor's in software engineering, and then when I moved here, I said, okay, I'm not going to waste 2 years. I'm going to spend on my master's in computer science.
Yeah.
But my backup plan is I think good enough that if this all fails, I can still find a job and live a good life. But I do agree with you. Like, it is kind of like you're almost hesitant in what you're doing, because you're like, I don't know, I have this waiting for me. Like, how long do I want to play this? And then, people around you, some people, obviously, there's always some people like that, are like, how long you're going to keep doing this, like how long you're going to keep playing in the sand. But, I feel it really depends on the person, how passionate you are and how much you want it. For me, there's no place that I feel like on the court, So for me, as long as I can play and I want to play, but like, you cannot just expect that beach volleyball is going to give you life in the end. Like once the kids are there and once you have family, it's definitely not sustainable. So you
Change
have
it
to
real
have,
quick for me.
yeah,
Change
you have
my
to have
priorities
something
immediately.
Yeah. So you definitely have to have something that is like ready for you if you want to actually have family and stuff. If you want to live alone and, live that beach life forever, then maybe it's possible. But I feel all the players kind of planned that as well.
Cool. Hey, who's been your favorite U.S. partner to play with so far? And you can't choose me.
When you say U.S., playing in U.S., or it has to be American?
Let's call like at least American green card citizen.
I would always choose. I would choose Ricardo no matter what. Like, Ricardo was by far like my best experience. Just that guy is, he's really genuine. Loves beach volleyball. Like, he's, what I told you about not feeling anywhere, like how I feel on the court. That's him. Like, I saw Ricardo after winning 3 medals celebrating a point in St. Pete on beach bum tournament. Like he was the most important point. And just like the joy that he would tell me, like, hey, next ball hit middle, and I would hit middle, and the joy that he would have because I listened and he worked. It's just like, I didn't get that from other people. Just, he's already achieved. So just for me, it was impressive seeing someone already who achieved everything still loving the game. And then on the other hand, obviously, like, he's a great player. He was a great mentor. Like, he kind of like explained me everything, and I consider him a good friend. So that was a great experience. But on the other hand, on the AVP, I don't know. It was fun, like, everyone I play with was fun,
Yeah.
I had ups and downs, and like, I end up blocking with Leela. That was pretty fun.
That's cool.
Just finding myself on the net, doing
You ended up peeling with Leela.
yeah, end up doing some weird stuff, and surprising teams, and with Brian, obviously, I finally had a really tall blocker that I never had in Serbia. We don't have a person that tall playing beach volleyball. It doesn't have to be good. We don't have a person that tall playing beach volleyball. So that was fun, kind of playing against behind the big blocker. And obviously, like, I had a couple more partners. Like, I play with Bill in Laguna. Bill is insane setter. So I was just running my fast plays all over the court.
He's such a good setter.
And like, I always wanted to play with Bill for a couple of years just to understand how he thinks, and he's a big thinker. I've been practicing with him a bunch now, and we both, like, kind of have a lot in our heads, kind of like plan and situations and stuff like that. So I feel like everyone I play with was a really good experience, just learning wise,
Yeah. No favorites. Super diplomatic there.
I mean, there's no perfect partner, right? If there was a perfect partner, I would already win a tournament. But there's partners that you do.
You could have, like, the one that matches your style the best. Like, some people, the way they set, it bugs me because of the speed of the hands or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
The way they think about it, certain mannerisms. I can tell you easily, like, the worst setter I've played with is Kurt Toppel, but he was my best favorite partner for sure. We just got along. We could be upset with each other, but in an easygoing way, and just hold expectations in the same way. And I knew that he could do his job better than I could, and he knew that I could do his job, or that I could do my job better than he could. And so, it was awesome. Would I have changed? Did I change every day? Try to change his setting? Yes, but, like, I would play with him 10 times out of 10, just because he's a big, goofy, lovable monster.
Yeah. For me, what I like about my partners is just having energy. I did have really good energy with Brian. I feel he's the closest to what I am. Our strategy was, let's get fired up, so we scream and we just hit harder than usual. Because I felt when we played together, we were a big team, like, tall, like, hitting high. And our goal was, like, get fired up so hits are not weak,
Yeah.
And it worked. And I had the best time, like, just screaming, like, he was screaming. So it was neutral energy kind of spreading on the court. And it was fun, I like energy. I'm Serbian. You know how Serbians are.
You guys can both lay into the ball. You guys have some heavy hands. Yeah. Quite different than me just hitting the outside pinkies of people's play.
It's only on the last couple of years.
I was always going for that. I mean, as an indoor outside, I was like, I came into my team as the defense and not passing guy, but the defense and serving guy. So I was there to, like, get digs, I guess, talk a lot of smack, and serve I could do. But when they set me, it usually meant our team was in trouble in some way. Like, we don't have our best options now, or they're trying to keep me warm just in case, So I'd, like, see a double block or even a single block, and I'd be like, how do I use the hand? Because I don't know how to hit around people. And then I was able to take that. Like, I love getting those antenna sets when people just don't quite close down that antenna. Oh, it's my favorite. But
nice.
Yeah. No, it's fun. And I got out there and played a little bit again, and now I'm going to the Dyno in Hawaii, so that'll be fun. If anybody's listening and you guys are going to the Dyno, I'll see you there. And I'll play some fours. But if you want to get out, don't hesitate to call. I'll say no 90% of the time, but but I like the invite to exercise, and I can still pass and set. So
Nice.
yeah.
Well, good to know.
Yeah. Get out in the sun and have Mackenzie do some motor learning watching us. All right, brother. We're gonna head out. We'll wrap this up. Appreciate your time. How do people find you? What's your Instagram? What are any YouTube channels you got going?
Just my first name, last name, DJ ORDJE, George Klasnic, and mostly use Instagram. A little bit of Facebook, but it's mostly for older people from Serbia, my family members, and friends of my parents, pretty much. But everything I do is usually on Instagram. It's a main social network where I communicate. Probably on YouTube soon again, kind of posting some videos, but we'll see. Kind of really busy with a whole green card and preparation, and you saw how much technical stuff I have on my plate for the off season.
Yeah, fixing a few things. Good.
Yeah.
All right, man. Great talking to you. Guys, if you are listening, we're going to let DJ go. But just before he does, we're going to tell you about some of the camps that we've got coming up. So April 6th to April 12th, we're going to St. Pete Beach in Florida. We've got a 6-day camp there. April 7th in Hermosa, we are going to have some fun with a Sunday 6-hour clinic. So come out and join. And a really big one, we've got so far 31 people signed up, which is insane to be this early and that many signups. But May 31st to June 2nd, we're going to be in Long Beach, Long Island in New York for a 3-day camp. And that thing is blowing up. If you are near or in San Diego and you are a man or a boy, we have a 3-day mini camp for men's B, A, and AA players in San Diego. Coming up June 14th to 16th. And as always, if you guys love this podcast, if you hear it, just give us a subscribe, throw 5 stars under the rating, share it with a friend. And if you want us to coach you and to give you our 60-day workout program, our 21-day mobility program, and come through all of our courses, we will watch your film. We will coach you through the season, and we will give you our entire knowledge library, and you can be a member, sit in live meetings with us, and get your film analyzed 24/7. So head on over to betterbeach.com or just click one of the links around this video. And thanks for watching, and always send a message. Let us know what you like, what you hate, and how we can make it better for you. All right. That's me. I'm Mark. And DJ, thanks for coming, man.
Thank you, Mark.
I'll at you. I'll see you later.
See you soon. Bye, guys.